For most teens, being able to drive is a huge milestone in their life. Imagine if that were all to change.
About 3,500 teenagers died in teen-driven vehicles in the USA that year, a death toll that tops that of any disease or injury for teens.
Lack of experience and immaturity contribute to poor decisions and risk-taking factors. Speeding or driving too fast for the given conditions, drinking and driving, having other passengers, not wearing a seatbelt, getting your license too soon, distracted driving, cell phone use, texting and eating, all are main factors in fatal car crashes.
One of the most important issues of teen driving is the factor that the most recurring issues are the ones that teens are least afraid of. If teens are often exposed to parents texting and driving, when they become drivers, they are more likely to repeat these actions because they no longer see it as a danger.
I think with teenagers, the main causes, in my opinion, would probably be distractions and inexperience. Again, hard to hear when you're just starting out, but that's how people get good at things by practicing. And I like to think I was a great driver when I first started, but I wasn't. I was a new driver. And you learn as you move along little things that happen, and you have these close calls where you don't have a crash, but when it's over, you realize that could have been a crash, and that could have been really bad. And then you learn from that. So next time it occurs, maybe you're a little more prepared. Maybe you give yourself a little bit more distance. It's that whole perception-reaction distance. Give yourself a little bit more room. And you learn over the years. And hopefully you just have a bunch of close calls and you don't ever have any serious crashes.
But the tension is the biggest because, with driving, you have to be, 100% on and mentally, you can't just be looking and driving. You've got to be mentally thinking what you're doing because a lot of kids lose that mental, especially if they're on the phone. I don't care what people say about this Bluetooth. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, yes, with Bluetooth you have both your hands on the wheel, but you're focusing on the conversation. You're not full attention, and young kids just can't do that.
First proposal, modify the structure of driver's education to incorporate more practice time and more involvement from parents.
Driver's education and training initiatives have largely been unsuccessful in reducing crashes that involve teenage drivers. This may be due, in part, to a lack of effective content on specific challenges for novice teen drivers, such as detection and appropriate response to hazards and appropriate speed adjustment for driving conditions.
I would also make sure that parents are aware of exactly what the class is about. We tell these kids everything, but then I know a lot of the information has to come home. We give them a pink slip after 10 hours of class and 2 drivings, which gives them the priority, or I guess, or the they can go and drive, with their parent. But a lot of parents don't know what that is, and if the student doesn't tell them or what have you. So I think the communication between student, parent, and the teacher, especially for driving, should be, I think, needs to be a little bit better put together. I think parents have to really understand that, you can't just put your kid in driver's ed and then just assume they'll get their practice in whenever. They've got to be responsible. They also have to, though, be calm, because I hear stories of kids that say that their parents are yelling at them, or and I tell them, I say, tell your parents that Mrs. Porsa, don't yell at me, because it makes them more nervous. I just think parents might need to be a little more educated. In our era it was a lot different, so they might just think that they know everything. In the States, wanting us to teach you guys certain other things, so then when the parent sees the student doing it, they're like, why are you doing that? And they get all mad. And so I think maybe the parents need to maybe communicate maybe a little bit more with the teacher, I guess, or the teacher, I guess, can explain more to them too, just to let them be more aware of the concept that deals with driver's ed these days.
By amending the driver's education to allow more practice time with a supervised adult, teens would be able to get the much-needed driving time and learn how to correct mistakes. By adding class time with both parents and students, parents will be more aware of the rules and laws and can receive guidance on how to become more effective teachers once classroom training is over.
Under this legislation, it would mean that 16-year-old permit holders would need to have 50 hours of practice driving. That's in addition to the 6 hours of professional driver training the current law requires. The bill would also lengthen the current 6-month driver permit phase to a full year. New drivers 17 or older would be required to take 100 hours of practice driving, or be given the option of taking 6 hours of professional driving and 50 hours of practice. Parents, yes, parents of teens with a driving learner's permit would be required to take a teen driver orientation course. And under this course, they would learn how to log their teens' drivers, because this logging of the practice hours, it would be based on an honor system.
There are few cases in life where there is a single person or a single group to blame. It's almost always a number of causes. So part of it is parents that aren't either checking up on their kids saying, you were driving from 8 to 8:30, why is there a text message at 20 after 8, or something like that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My wife's a school teacher, the same kind of thing. Sometimes a parent will want to blame just the teacher and not help hold the kids a little bit accountable too. It's kind of that same, it's a three-way thing, you know, there's a teacher, parent, and the kids. Same thing goes for most things in life, and when it comes to driving, it's the same thing. The parent also has to take an active role in making sure that their kids not only have the knowledge, but they're checking up on it, making sure that's what's happening too.
The second proposal. Change the driving age from 16 to 18 and have more restrictions and greater consequences for violations in the first 2 years of driving. According to USA Today, a majority of all research in brain development shows that the average brain is not fully developed until the age of 25. With this knowledge, many laws dealing with actions, such as drinking, smoking, and driving, are calculated based on the different stages of brain development. By increasing the age when teens receive their license, teens will have more time to learn how to become skilled drivers, as it takes an average of 4 years to become a proficient driver. It also gives the brain more time to develop.
Now with me experiencing the age, they have to be 14 years, 8 months. I know kids are going to hate me saying this, but I think now going through this, some kids are definitely ready, some kids are not ready. A lot of parents want them to be ready, and then some parents don't want them to be ready, so it goes both ways. But my feeling is that I think 14 years, 8 months is too young. I think maybe 15 take the class, or 15 years, or even 16. That might be too old. But some of these kids are just not mentally. They can't do two things at once. It's like, and you've got to be so full attention. Have your full attention when driving. And some of these kids are just too immature, or don't have that concept to be able to do it. Well, right now with the new drivers right now, when they're age 16 age 16 to for a year, their first year, they are not allowed to. Well, obviously, texting and driving's like a big no-no. You can't do this against the law. But they're not even supposed to be on the phone driving, which I still see kids do. I wish parents actually would do more with that. Make them either, and it's so hard because make them say you can't have the cell phone in the car. But I think everything that they've tried to do right now is helping. I do think though that some kids take advantage and think, oh, it won't happen to me type, and then when they actually get in an accident, then they realize, oh yeah, I guess that does help. I shouldn't be doing that, I should say. But
by creating stricter laws and harsher consequences, teens are more likely to think twice before engaging in dangerous behaviors. Also, parents are more likely to remind their teens about the consequences and even set personal rules.
Today is a day of remembrance, but also a day to celebrate the success that we've seen with our immediate roadside prohibition program. We set a target of achieving a 35% reduction in road fatalities, and in fact today, as we look at the statistics, that reduction has already reached 46% in British Columbia. It means that 104 individuals are at home with their families today that would not have been without the IRP program being put in place.
Leaders do have to take risks sometimes, and I'm very proud of our leadership in government. I'm proud of our leadership in policing. They had to set the vision and see what is possible and what is achievable. Body count is not a pleasant way to talk about progress, but it is measurable, and trust me, one life would make all the difference in the world to me. And we've saved 104. So simply put, that is amazing.